Next thing, his head just went like this.
I shouted at Sharnelle and said, "Get help."
Yes, what's your location, please? We're getting the ambulance now.
Hello, I'm Caroline Jones. Over the next 2 weeks, an insight into the people we turn to in moments of fear and crisis, the police. In tonight's episode, we take you into the heart of the moment every officer dreads, a minor neighbourhood dispute that turns lethal. This one happened in Brisbane on May Day 2 years ago, but the consequences are still being played out.
I think because of what happened, I'm better off for it. Weapon clear. Before this incident, I'd go to a job, and a job that had potential. An armed person, a person with a knife, a person with a firearm. I probably wouldn't prepare myself as well as I do now, like mentally.
Was she on her own, was she?
Yeah, just by herself. Before I'd just go and do it. Whatever happened, happened. But now, I do a lot more thinking en route to the job. The thinking is, what's the worst? What is the worst thing that could happen at that job? Am I prepared for what's going to happen at that job?
It's a sealed bag from next door, so all they've done is leave it open, all the property's still in it. Yeah.
Chris is he's a street copper. That's what he knows, that's what he's good at, that's what he enjoys.
But as I said, I can't get close enough to that building to see whether...
That's the car.
I think we have dealt with what we went through in different ways. All our experience was slightly different, our injuries were slightly different.
You see, there was some gear dumped on the footpath up here.
He said to me, I was just speaking to him, I said, "Why'd you go back so early?" And he said that if he didn't go back then, he didn't think he would ever go back.
I went back on the road about 18 months after the incident for about 3 weeks. I was just anxious all the time going to work and being at work. I just didn't have a good feeling about it. I was too worried about, what if this goes wrong? I couldn't sit in a patrol car while someone wrote the log. I couldn't do certain things that reminded me of what we were actually doing on the night.
I took about 18, 20 months before I actually returned to work. There's a big umbrella called post-traumatic stress syndrome. But basically, if you've been involved in a violent event, it's likely to cause you problems, and there's different scales. And I think I was fairly severely affected by it.
When's your knee getting done?
She said, well, first up.
Sharnelle had come from another station, and she came to Chris's team, and just through rostering, we ended up working together a lot, and we became really good friends and had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
I used to be excited to go to work. I couldn't wait to get to work. I never wanted to leave because I was just excited about mostly going to hot jobs, which meant going lights and sirens and, going really fast. But that certainly wore off because a lot of the times when you were going to those jobs, they were urgent and you had to sort of respond to difficult situations.
It was Valentine's Day yesterday.
I wouldn't know.
Oh.
Did you get anything?
No.
Did you get anything?
No.
Chris was the supervisor of our team. I mean, you respected him like a boss and a sergeant, but he was so easy to approach and you could always go to him for anything.
I was talking to Berkey last night. He reckons you've got better teeth now than before.
Bullshit. No way.
Part of my job is to ensure that the police are doing, my troops are doing the right thing.
Show him the fake gun. They'll put him on
I know.
now.
And safeguarding against any possible mishap.
It gets infected. It's a real pain in the butt.
That includes if they're going to a job that could be dangerous. It's a custom that normally halfway through the shift I take up with the cars. On the night this incident occurred, I think it was at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, I took up with Daryl and Sharnelle at the BP service station at Aspley. That night had been a fairly quiet night. Nothing too big had happened.
Police Communications, how can I help you?
I've got this guy living down the road, and I get the information tonight that he's going to do me in tomorrow. Come around and do my kneecaps or put me in a wheelchair, so he reckons. Kill my dog. He's already covered me dog in spray paint.
And this neighbour, what's his name, please?
Oh, his name's Nigel something, but now he goes under Jesse Ford. What was his other last name? Parody.
Okay, what type of weapons have you got there?
Semi-automatic 22 with a silencer, and he's got loads and loads of ammo.
Basically, as soon as there's a unit available, we'll get someone around there.
When the call came through on our handheld, I took the radio call from comms.
So what's your location?
It appeared that there was a threat, and it involved a firearm, a gun. Well, it alerted me that I should go with them to that job.
Sharnelle drove, I navigated to Hanbury Street. Chris followed us. It was a cul-de-sac and the complainant wasn't able to tell us a house number for Parody, so we really had no choice but to drive past the suspect's house, which is not an ideal situation. Even for a low priority job, we would try not to do that, but we had no choice.
Paul Moran and Robbie Allen were the complainant and the informant.
Apparently, Moran had a bet with Parody over a football match. I think it was a $20 bet, and apparently Parody had lost that bet.
Nigel Parody told him at 8 o'clock that night that he was going to come round and kneecap him the next night and then turn the gun on himself. We tried to just get as much information out of them as we can, but one was very intoxicated and the other one was not very coherent.
Yeah, my dog just got painted.
We'd get off the issue of him supposed to have been kneecapped the next night and talk about his dog, and his Parody had spray painted his dog pink.
They were just supplying unreliable information, chopping and changing, talking about bugs planted in the house by Parody.
In hindsight, it did look a bit surreal. Yeah. I myself was trying to make a value judgment whether what they were telling me was a valid threat. At the same time, there's this collie running around with a pink tail, and it's just not quite adding up. I decided to go back to the car and make some inquiries.
Hello, Daryl. Chris Mulhall here from Boondall. Anyway, I've been offered this job, this sterney job with some threats of guns and whatever. Oh, yeah.
And I sat in the middle of the back seats listening to Chris on the mobile and Sharnelle on the radio.
I'll just give you another name and I'll just get back to you with that one. Next name is Alan, A-L-L-E-N.
I'd been sat there for probably 30 seconds to a minute. We had the interior light of the car on with the doors open. I heard a rush sound coming from the left-hand side, just out the car.
There was an application for a weapons license.
Next thing I'm hearing Daryl yelling out, "Fuck off." I looked at Daryl's head. The next thing, his head just went like this, like that. His head just went just like that.
The gun did have a silencer. I screamed going down. 1 minute I'm looking there, the next minute I'm there, hand on my mouth, teeth, blood in my mouth.
I could feel impact. I felt my hand go and my face. I thought, when he stops, I'm going to be really shitty with him because I can't wait to get this guy to say, "What are you doing this for?"
The problem with the whole thing was there was no sound. You know, one normally equates being shot at with sound. I don't recall feeling anything hit my arm. I just remember looking at my arm, and there was just blood spurting, just coming out of my arm.
And I shouted at Sharnelle and said, "Get help."
Yes, what's your location, please? We're getting the ambulance now.
I just grabbed the radio and started talking. I guess adrenaline did just a big dump, and you just sort of do what you've got to do.
72 code 1, code 1.
Somebody had to get out of the car in case this guy was reloading or whatever. And so I've headed out through the door that I've got shot through.
I remember him getting out of the car. He had his gun out. I remember him yelling for Chris. I remember him yelling for Brody to come back very politely.
If he was there and I was able to, like, he could have reloaded and state I was in, he would have probably possibly killed me. But if I was able to, I was going to kill this guy. I was just enraged.
I remember him leaning on the bonnet and holding his jaw up and saying to me, "It's going to be all right." And I'm just thinking, you're kidding. Like, I just remember seeing blood everywhere. And he's saying to me, "It's going to be all right, it's going to be all right." He was my lifeline. Like, I knew he was out there because I couldn't get out of the car. I knew if he came back, that Daryl would have been able to do something.
I was there in Mill Street yelling, and I've realised, where's Chris?
As I got out of the car, I reached for my revolver and I saw a figure. In my mind, I thought it was Daryl, but then again I wasn't sure. In that second, I didn't use my gun. In hindsight, I could have shot Parody and been a legend. In hindsight, I could have shot Daryl and been. If I shot Daryl, where would I be then?
There is no fighting at this stage. He's still alive.
I looked up, saw a light, and without even thinking, I ran for the light.
2 police are down. 2 police down.
Has November 407 been located yet, please?
407 has not been located.
Chris had got away, got over a fence, and got into a house to call for help.
Hello, yeah, Sergeant Mulhall here. You got police on the way? How my troops? You got 2 down? Mate, I don't want to go to the house. No, don't you stay put.
At that time, I felt extremely bad about where I was in relation to them. Well, I felt bad because I left them in the first place. I wanted to go back to the car, but the operator told me to stay there.
A big manhunt is underway on Brisbane's north side this morning.
It was the May Day long weekend across Queensland. A cold,
start to the morning with the news very early this morning. 3 Queensland police officers have been shot.
Sharnelle was seriously hurt, and Daryl, they were both shot in the face.
There was 8 shots. The bullet went through my jaw and took out 3 teeth, and one shattered some bones in my hand here, and the other one took out a nerve. 2 went into my thigh. 1 went into my knee, 2 in my arm, and 1 went into my chest. Apparently it just stopped before my lung.
I'd had so much damage done to my inside my mouth with teeth and bone, and the bullet had gone into my tongue and down my throat. It was just a mess.
As the search continues for Brisbane's fugitive gunman, one of the 3 police officers shot earlier this week has made a plea for public assistance.
Facing the cameras wasn't an easy task for Sergeant Christopher Mulhall today. He's still recovering from gunshot wounds to the buttocks and arm.
He's a sick person. He needs to be brought to justice, and brought to justice swiftly. That's all I can say.
There was an incredible panic, and police were looking for a man they called a psychopath, and in the media there was a very competitive environment to try to understand his character. I think society and the media wanted some kind of explanation for how a 32-year-old man could suddenly unravel like that and commit such a violent act.
I'd like to thank the media for a chance to make an appeal to my brother Nigel. Nigel, this is not going to go away. Please help us. Please contact us.
Nigel's friends spoke of a sad, lonely person who was also loyal, thoughtful and caring. We found that he was a guy who had some serious personal issues, a feeling of being taunted, teased, abused sexually as a child, and was never really able to get the sort of help he needed to process those. I can understand why he wanted to kill himself.
100 police and volunteers had been searching an area in the northern suburbs of Brisbane when they discovered the body just before midday. There was little doubt the body was Perody's. A gun was found beside it, a single bullet wound to the skull.
I wanted to see Perody's body, and for various bureaucratic reasons that didn't occur and greatly upset me. And I think it would have helped finalise it. He's dead. The guy's gone. You know, this anger is a waste. But I never saw that. I got shot. I was in hospital. I come out, got all these injuries, and I never got my payback.
I sort of thought, there's not much I can do about it. He's dead. I have to concentrate on me. And Daryl was more angry that his life had been turned upside down. I was a little bit more thankful that I was alive and that I was going to get over my injuries. Well, it didn't drop in hospital. I thought, this will take, give myself 3 months, I'll be right. I didn't really understand what had happened.
Hello. Hi, Stephen.
A little bit dizzy? That's quite normal. I try and look at it as the whole scheme of my life. I mean, it's 2 years out of my life.
That's it. You just think of something nice as you're drifting off to sleep.
I've had 17 operations to date. That's all my diary was. Doctors. Didn't meet any nice doctor. Damn it.
So there's some shrapnel in this area here and all the way through the jawbone where the bullet went straight through here. What we'll be doing today is restoring this last tooth which was damaged.
If I didn't stay positive, it would consume me and then he would win, and I didn't want Parody to get the better of me, so I just had to stay on top of things and get through it to prove to myself that I was winning.
Okay, let's have a look at these implants then.
Daryl had to deal with physical and the emotional problems, and I mean, I know it was like just dealing with physical. I didn't want any extra burden to have to worry about psych issues, and yeah, I certainly feel for Daryl going through those sort of things, but at the time, I guess I didn't want to hear it.
First 2 months, I just in a haze. I had numerous operations, 8 general anaesthetics, the bone and tissue transplants, the titanium implants, and each time I'd have one of those operations, I'd go through a quite an amount of pain and discomfort, and it brought the shooting back each time, and that was pretty upsetting.
This man, another resident of Hanbury Street, believes he was the government's intended target.
I'd never suffered depression before. I initially thought I was going mad.
He fears worse is to come.
I realised how close I was to being dead, and it brought on the other things. I thought if Parody had had a more powerful rifle, if Parody had had a shotgun, I wouldn't be here. And I'm glad I started going to see to a doctor, because I was able to vent and speak to somebody, and they were able to say, look, this is normal. This is my warren. This is where I spent a lot of time since the shooting. Here I have a copy of the brief that was put together for the coroner, just all the statements. Here are the photographs of the shooting. Some people think a little bit strange why I want them, but it helps me to put things in perspective. Well, Sharnelle said to me that when she sees a photograph of Parody, she doesn't relate the shooting to him. I do. There's a lot of anger, and it's one way to find closure, just to fill in all the blanks and all the pictures.
At the time that Parody was at large, there were numerous mugshots circulated amongst the police. I got hold of a couple of dozen, and I've just kept them. I keep a picture of them in my wallet. It's a motivating factor to keep myself on my toes, and the police I'm supervising.
He has some connection there, and he sort of, I don't know why we'd carry those photos. He hangs on to him a bit.
It's just a way for him to deal with it, and hopefully one day he'll be able to put that away. But I suppose at least we can both focus our anger in the right direction. At least this is the bloke.
Open the room, move through.
Police officer, drop the weapon!
Breathe and scan.
I told the psychologist what I felt like I should do is do a bit of shooting.
Come back and try that again. All right, look through your sights, look at the world through your sights. There's your next point.
I suppose it's a bit like a tradesman picking up his tools.
There's your next barricade on the left.
Police officer, drop the weapon!
There's actually instructors shooting at you, and when these pellets hit you, they hurt. And if you can survive and return fire under that sort of situation, I think it's fairly good therapy.
As you first enter, your peripheral vision opens up and you can see the room.
Chris sort of takes a bit personally. He thinks that he's let the side down, or because he wasn't shot as much and didn't stay on the scene. He played a role, and that role was very important. And, Chris shouldn't care what anyone else thinks, and he shouldn't beat himself up over it.
I was giving myself a hard time because I believed I should have went back to the car. And I kicked myself for not shooting across the route. The psychologist described it to me as a thing called survivor guilt. I think I feel a lot better today if I went back to the car.
Well, people bagged him and said he ran away. He didn't run away. He ran towards something to get help. He didn't do anything wrong. If I was in that same seat, I think I would have got the hell out of there too.
Hey, Greenie.
Hey, Shah.
Where I'm at now is finally getting over all the physical aspects of the shooting, starting to get my career back on track,
I'll be walking around.
dealing with the effects a little bit better.
It did replace the major ligament.
Oh, here we go.
Get the violin out, please. We're going to play it right, okay?
Oh, he's back to the old Greenie. I told him that the other day. He said to me that it was sort of that. He was glad to hear that, because we did lose a little bit of contact. What are you doing Wednesday night? I'm going to sushi.
I might come, hobble along.
Pick up 5:30.
I'll be ready about 5:45.
I was just a bit worried that he wasn't going to get any better, and this wasn't healthy for him to be so angry. But obviously, that was just what he needed to go through.
Morning, Hamo.
G'day, Daryl. How are you going?
It's good to be getting back at work, getting life more normal. I'm still only part-time, I'm just gradually increasing my hours. I've got like a 6-month rehab plan, all going well. And then just try to make a good career in a not so confrontational area of the police, a more investigative role.
I wanted to go to a job where I went home at the end of the day and I wasn't confronted with mad people every day with guns. And so I've since gone to Legal Services Branch, which is police prosecutions. I'm just on the course at the moment, and hopefully I'll become a police prosecutor.
The shooting, I didn't get a chance to shoot him when I got out of the car.
The shooting's added something extra there that wouldn't have been there.
You should just taken the risk there.
So if I shot Daryl...
So I certainly thought it's brought us closer together and given us something very much in common that we have with nobody else. All three of us are single. Sharnelle and I had partners at the time of the shooting.
I mean, I know it's him, but...
I think some of the things of the shooting certainly, wouldn't help. And they really mess with the relationships.
Have you seen anyone?
Yeah. Well, a relationship that I had at the time, that didn't stay. Of course, I was, not happy all the time, and I wouldn't want to be around me. So, I mean, that deteriorated.
He wants to come out fishing. Reedy does.
Okay, yeah.
I had some problems with a girl that I was seeing at the time. I think I might have unloaded a bit too much on her. And I think if this hadn't have happened, that might have gone somewhere.
Before the shooting, we socialised, we'd go out, drinks, fishing, myself, Sharnelle and other team members. And so really, for what we went through, you couldn't ask for two better people to actually be there. Yeah, if you're going to get shot, make sure you get shot with friends, because you've got to go through a lot of crap and you want to be able to talk to them about it.
We still talk about it now, but not quite as much.
Make sure we stay in the deep water, Daryl. Don't want to bottom out.
Probably been over it, millions of times. How could you handle the job differently?
Did we stuff up? But we hadn't. All the inquiries into it show that we've responded to it correctly. It's just one of those jobs, it's a 1 in 100,000 job where no matter what procedures are in place, that these things are going to occur.
Still remember how to car? Yeah, your finger there.
I mean, people just think they're experts because they can sit back and say this is how it should have been done. I mean, you don't know how you're going to act in a situation like that, and we did it the best way we could. I think it just proved to me that I can more or less get through whatever I want. That's been a lot of the things in my life. I find them hard, but I end up getting through it, and this just proves to me that, yeah, I can do it. Bring it on, I can do anything and get through it.